Today we'll be discussing how to train a dog to sit the easiest way possible. The command sit is one that most domesticated and trained dogs instantly know. Most dogs trained this command early on in life will know when their owners are asking them to sit simply by the way they look at them. Dogs are experts at body language and reading your expressions. Because of this, we will be using their keen sense of observation as well as the command sit to trigger your dog to sit down on command. Learning how to train a dog to sit is often one of the first commands new dog owners train to their pets. It's quite easy to do and is really quite important as well. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't know how to get my dog to sit down on command. He'd be running all over the place and would be uncontrollable. Knowing how to train a dog to sit, although a basic command, is the first step towards obedience. Because of this, it is important to do it right and thoroughly as well. The basic word sit and its purpose. In all honesty, the word you're going to use for how to train a dog to sit is not important. You can use anything you want. In fact, I've known people that have used sit in different languages. Just be creative, I guess. And whatever word you use, make sure to be consistent. Once you pick one command, stick with it and have everybody else your dog is around often with to use the same command. This is why sit is used so often, because it is what everybody that speaks English uses. Getting your dog to sit. The next step is to make your dog realize the connection between your command and him or her sitting down. One easy way how to train a dog to sit is to wait for your dog to be paying attention to and making eye contact with you. After this eye contact is made, with a serious face and your finger pointing on the ground, use the command you chose. Your dog most likely won't know what you're doing or trying to get them to do. Still, continue saying the command and point at the ground in a serious tone. When your dog sits. Eventually, your doggy will sit down. As soon as this happens, your next task is to reward him or her. You can use doggy treats or pet them in their favorite spot. Be sure they understand that what they did was very good. What you're doing is using positive reinforcements. When your dog does something good, you reward the behavior. You do not punish your pet for not doing the command. You merely ignore the non-action and wait. Once your pet does what you want, you go from neutral to happy and enthusiastic that they did the action. This is when you reward them. Using a leash. One thing I found highly useful is to put a leash on your dog and walk around with them. Make sure the leash is long enough for them to be able to look at you face to face. Take your dog to the backyard or somewhere they are familiar with and keep the leash on. This won't work in a public place or somewhere they aren't familiar with. They'll be too concerned with exploring the surrounding environment, and if they haven't learned how to sit, they definitely won't care about listening to you. When you have them in a familiar environment, then look at them and use the command with a pointing and stern face. As soon as they sit down, reward them. I find this very effective in that it is easier to how to train a dog to sit with a leash because they have nowhere to go. Most young dogs are energetic and wander all over the place. By having them on a leash, they are confined to you. Pushing on the dog's butt. Another useful tactic is to go to your dog's butt and push down on it slightly, forcing your dog to take a seat. While you are pushing, make sure to use the command. After this happens, you then reward the behavior. Your pet should quickly pick up on what you want them to do. Lastly, the importance of body language while doing this command. As I stated earlier, it is important to use the hand pointing at the ground as well as the serious face expression while saying the command sit. The reason is that your dog will link all three things with sitting down. That way, it will be much easier learning how to train a dog to sit. And they will eventually sit down when you point at the ground or even when you give them that serious expression. This is the type of full-fledged dog training that gets you and your dog to actually be communicating with each other. Be sure to start using these tips right now, as the longer you wait, the more difficult it is going to correct bad habits.